Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I know it's been a while, but I'm back with a new tutorial on how to make this cute summery top, a crop top with flared sleeves. This is perfect for the summer season because it's lightweight and not thick. It also depends on the fabric that you decide to use, but I'm using this Ankara fabric, which is cotton, and it's very thin. It's not heavy or thick. You'll also need tracing paper, or you can use a newspaper. Any paper that's big enough for you to trace on, because we're going to be using clothing to make your pattern pieces. For this tutorial, I used an old turtleneck that I had. So I'm going to be basically folding it in half and tracing the pieces on the tracing paper. So I'm going to use this as a template to create my crop top. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to trace my turtleneck. I folded it in half and I folded the paper in half as well. So I'm just going to be tracing all around it to create the back piece of my top. So you can just follow along. Basically, all I'm doing is just what you'll see here. I decided to make this a crop top, but you can make it longer if you want or shorter. So it's up to you when it comes to the length of the top. Same goes for the neckline. Since this is the back part of the top, I'm going to make a higher neckline. But if you want it to be lower or higher than what I did, you can do that as well. I'll be tracing it with the marker just to make it easier to see on camera. I used a pencil so it's harder to see, but I'm going to go over it in marker so you can just see how the shape turned out. Now I'm going to cut around my shape. As I mentioned before, this is the back part of my top, so I'll be using the back to create the front. So continue watching to see how I do that. I got another piece of paper and I folded that in half and I placed my back piece also folded in half, and I'm basically tracing the exact same piece twice, and then you'll see how I manipulate that shape, the front shape, to create that front tie shape. So here's how I alter that front shape after duplicating the back piece. I'm basically creating a lower neckline. Once again, you can decide how low or how high you want your neckline to be, but I wanted a lower neckline, and I'm going to cut that in half, as you can see, and then I'm going to add length to create that tie shape. I like to label my pieces just so I know, okay, this is the front part, this is the back part. So you can do whatever is easy or whatever works for you. Just so you have an idea, this is how I plan to attach the pieces together. I'm just going to tape that part, but just so you can see the front, both pieces are going to have that extra part. My son makes a quick appearance. He was just curious to see what I was doing, so I just let him play around a little bit. So I taped that piece to the front piece, so that piece that I just cut out, to make that front tie detail. So as you can see, I'm just showing you how it would look when it's attached to the back piece. And of course, the left side would be the same for the front. So there will be 2 front pieces and 1 back piece. Now you'll take your fabric, you'll fold it in half or just fold it on the edge part, as you can see as I did, and all you're doing is just cutting around your paper pieces, so your pattern pieces that you traced on the paper. I'm going to do the same for the front piece. So fold your fabric in half and just cut once, so that way you will have 2 pieces once you finish cutting the fabric. And as you can see, I left a little bit more in the front. I think the longer the better, because once again, this is for the front tie detail. So it's up to you. So I decided to add more as I was cutting. I'm always changing my mind even as I'm going. So I decided to add more inches. As you can see, I'm going to be cutting extra to add to it. I think the longer it is, the better, because you can add like a bow. When you tie it, you can make like a nice little bow. So I'm just adding more. And all of this will be attached later on in my video, so I'll show you how I put it all together using my sewing machine and serger. Okay, so here's my back piece. Here is the front piece, one side of the front piece, and here's the other one. So just showing you how I plan to put it all together and roughly how it will look. I will be stitching the shoulder seam together and the side seams together, so the front will be attached to the back. As you can see, I'm going to be stitching the side and the top, as I'm just showing you. And the same with the other side of the front piece. The top shoulder seam and the side seams together. I will be using my serger to do this. You can also use a sewing machine. I would suggest like using a zigzag stitch, because I feel like that's just extra security, but I like using my serger because it's very thick when it seals the ends and the sides. So I'll be taking this to my serger, as you can see, and stitching it together. Okay, so as you can see, I stitched the shoulder seam together and the side. So I did both sides, and you can see this is how it looks when it's all stitched. Now I'm going to add those 2 extra pieces that I cut for length for the front tie part. So I'm going to add those on with my serger as well. And there you go, it's attached. Showing you a better view. The shoulder seams are together. The front is attached to the back. Now I'm going to serge all around the edges. This will give you a clean look because it's always good to serge your edges or fold your edges in and top stitch it just to avoid that rugged edge. So this is what I'm doing, just serging all around so it's more clean. Okay, so this is how it looks after serging the edges. And as I said before, I'm going to now fold it over again and straight stitch. So this is just a better view so you can see how it looks after serging it. Here I'm folding my edges over on top of the serger, and I'm going to add a straight stitch all around. And this will also give a nice clean look. And this is how it looks. Also, don't mind the wrinkles in the fabric. I'm going to iron it afterwards and all that will go away, but I suggest you iron your fabric beforehand just to make it easier for you. So here's everything minus the sleeves put together. So that will be the next part of this video. For the flared sleeves, I'll be cutting 2 strips. You can decide how thick or how long you want yours to be. For me, this is what I decided to go with, as you can see. But yeah, the longer it is, the more ruffles you can get. So keep that in mind also. I decided to serge the bottom first. So like I did with the top, serge the bottom so it's neat. Only one side would need to be serged because the other side will be attached to your front and back pieces. Now this part is very important. This is how you're going to create your ruffles or your flares. So you're going to top stitch the top part that you did not serge, and you do not backtrack with the sewing machine or lock it. You just top stitch all the way down, and you do this twice because you're going to need this to pull and tug to create that ruffles. So I'll show you that later on. But now I'm just folding over the serge part and just hemming it so it's cleaner. And that's for the bottom part of your strips for the flared sleeves. Okay, so now as you can see, I have serged the bottom and flipped it over again to zigzag stitch the bottom so it's clean at the bottom of the sleeves. So now for the top part, this is where you're going to create that ruffle effect before you attach it to your front and back piece. So basically, as I mentioned, I did not lock it or backtrack as I straight stitched the top. I'm going to tug and pull the string And as I'm pulling and tugging, it's going to create that ruffle effect, as you can see. So you can just watch and see how I do it. When it comes to this part, you need to take your time so you don't have to worry about the string breaking, because once the string breaks, then you only have another chance on the other side to do it again, right? So just take your time and pull. Here are both of my sleeve pieces. I've created that ruffle flare effect by tugging the string, as you can see. Once again, you can decide how much ruffles you want by creating a longer strip or cutting out a longer piece of fabric. But mine's, I just decided to make it really small, mini. Now I'm going to attach it to my main bodice, which is the front and back of my top. So this part can be tricky, but you just gotta make sure that you align it properly. You can use the shoulder seam to kind of even it out because the shoulder seam is right in the middle, right? I suggest that you use a pin also to make it easier first to pin it, and then you can sew it down. So you can just see how I did it. I'm going to use the straight stitch to attach the sleeve. Also take your time with this part. It's better to do it once than redo it again, so take your time and don't rush. Okay, so here is the flared sleeve attached on one side. I'll do the same for the other side, but just so you have an idea, this is how it looks. All right, so here is the final look of the top. I attached both of the flared sleeves. It looks like cup sleeves at the same time, but it is very short flared ruffle sleeves. And I like it. I think it's cute, and I like that it's short, especially on a warm, hot day. So here's the back. And that's the end of my tutorial. So thank you all for watching. I also did a blue version of this top, like a blue peacock Ankara version. And as you can see, the sleeves are longer. So you have variety and you can do whatever you want when it comes to the look and the style. So thank you all for watching and see you again at my next tutorial. Bye!